10 rifles you should never sell because their value keeps climbing every single year. And some of these are worth more than what most people paid for their first car. Selling even one of these firearms could cost you thousands in remorse, and most owners have absolutely no idea what they're actually holding. Subscribe Gun and Gavel now. Number 1 is going to shock you. Number 10. M1 Carbine. This lightweight semi-automatic rifle served as the most produced American military firearm of World War II, with over 6 million manufactured between 1941 and 1945. And that massive production run created enough variation in manufacturers and markings to sustain a dedicated collector market that drives prices higher every year. Collectors specifically hunt for early Winchester, Inland, and Rock-Ola manufactured examples because those companies maintain the tightest quality control and command premiums of 50 to 70% over late war contract manufacturers, with prices appreciating an average of 9% annually over the past 15 years, according to auction records. Original configuration matters enormously, with unmodified examples featuring proper GI stocks, handguards, and sights bringing double what sporterized or modified carbines sell for, because collectors understand that every non-reversible modification permanently destroys historical authenticity. The civilian marksmanship program sold M1 carbines until their inventory depleted in 2015, and prices have increased 40 to 60% since CMP sales ended. Surplus examples from South Korea and other allied nations trade at 20 to 30% discounts compared to pure U.S. military guns, creating opportunities for informed buyers who recognize that mechanical condition and originality matter more than import stamps to most shooters. Paratrooper folding stock variants command the highest premiums of all M1 carbine configurations, with pristine examples trading at $3,000 to $5,000 because their distinctive appearance and limited production numbers make them the most sought-after variant among serious collectors. Price: $800 to $1,500. Number 9. Winchester Model 70 Pre-64. This bolt-action rifle earned the title the Rifleman's Rifle through manufacturing excellence that Winchester abandoned in 1964 when corporate accountants prioritized production speed over craftsmanship, creating a clear dividing line that makes pre-964 examples significantly more valuable than anything Winchester produced afterward. Winchester built these rifles with controlled round feeding, a claw extractor that maintains positive contact with the cartridge from the moment it leaves the magazine until ejection, and a Mauser-style action that represented the pinnacle of bolt gun reliability when introduced in 1936. The Pre-64 Model 70 came in over 20 different chamberings, but certain calibers like .270 Winchester, .306 Springfield, and .300 H&H Magnum command the strongest collector interest, with rare chamberings like .264 Winchester Magnum or .358 Winchester, bringing premiums of 100 to 200% over common calibers. Condition dramatically affects value, with a 95% condition example in a desirable caliber selling for 3 to 4 times what an 80% condition rifle brings. Because serious collectors demand near-perfect metal finish, minimal stock wear, and matching serial numbers on all components, super-grade variants featuring hand-checkered walnut stocks, jeweled bolts, and premium wood grades now trade at $3,000 to $6,000, depending on caliber and condition, in representing appreciation of 300% to $400 since 2000, when these same rifles sold for $800 to $1,500. Original factory boxes, hang tags, and owner's manuals can add $300 to $800 to sale prices, with complete unfired examples in original packaging, commanding museum piece premiums that often exceed $10,000 in popular calibers. African safari chamberings like 375H and H Magnum and 458 Winchester Magnum represent the apex of pre-64 collectability. Yet, with pristine, super-grade examples in these calibers routinely selling for $8,000 to $12,000 because they combine rare chambering with premium features in rifles that were specifically built for the most demanding hunting applications. Price $1,200 to $6,000. Number 8. Colt AR-15 SP1. The civilian semi-automatic version of the M16 that Colt introduced in 1963 represents the first AR-15 available to American shooters. And those early SP1 models with serial numbers below 10,000 now command collector premiums that make them worth 3 to 5 times what standard AR-15s sell for today. When Colt began civilian AR-15 production, they maintained the same manufacturing standards, tooling, and quality control as their military contracts, creating rifles that share parts interchangeability with genuine military M16s, which explains why collectors value early Colt ARs far above modern production from other manufacturers. The SP1 featured a triangular handguard, smooth, slick-side upper receiver without forward assist or case deflector, and a pencil-profile 20-inch barrel that gave the rifle a distinctive appearance that instantly identifies it as an early production example to knowledgeable collectors. Serial number ranges matter enormously, with 5-digit serial numbers from the 1960s and early 1970s bringing $2,000 to $3,500 depending on condition, while later SP1 production from the late 1970s and 1980s trades at $1,500 to $2,200, demonstrating how scarcity drives premium pricing. The 1989 import ban and subsequent 1994 assault weapons ban created artificial scarcity in the AR-15 market that drove Colt SP1 prices from $600 in the 1980s to current levels approaching $3,000, representing appreciation that outpaced inflation by 400% to 500% over 35 years. Pre-ban high-capacity magazines that accompanied these rifles when new now sell for $20 to $40 each. And finding an SP1 with its original factory 20-round magazines adds $100 to $200 to the package value. Here's what separates casual owners from serious collectors. Would you rather shoot an SP1 and risk damaging a piece of firearms history, or preserve it unfired and watch its value climb year after year? Drop your reasoning in the comments. Price: $1,800 to $3,500. Number 7. FN-FAL. The rifle that earned the nickname Right Arm of the Free World served over 90 countries during the Cold War, and that widespread military adoption created enough variation in configurations, manufacturers, and markings to sustain a loyal collector market that drives prices higher every year. Belgian FN manufactured examples command the highest premiums because Fabre Nationale maintained the tightest manufacturing tolerances and quality control, with original Belgian guns now trading at $3,000 to $5,000 compared to $1,200 to $2,000 for comparable Austrian Stier or British Commonwealth variants. The FAL's .308 Winchester chambering delivers 2,800 foot-pounds of muzzle energy from a 20-inch barrel, providing genuine 800-yard-D capability with iron sights that made this rifle the standard infantry weapon for NATO forces that couldn't adopt the intermediate cartridge M16. Metric versus inch pattern FALS create two distinct collector categories, with metric guns using European measurements and inch pattern rifles built to British Commonwealth specifications, and parts interchangeability between these patterns ranges from minimal to none, which affects collector preferences and valuations. Parapholding stock variants command premiums of 40% to 60% over standard fixed stock examples because their compact dimensions and distinctive appearance make them highly desirable, despite offering no practical advantages for most shooters. The 1989 ban on importing semi-automatic rifles capable of accepting high-capacity magazines effectively ended FAL imports, creating a fixed supply that's been declining for 35 years as rifles get destroyed, modified, or damaged, which explains why prices have tripled since 2000. Price: $1,800 to $5,000. Number 6. Swiss K31. Switzerland's commitment to armed neutrality required every rifle to meet standards that would embarrass modern precision manufacturers, and the K31 straight pull bolt action represents Swiss watchmaking precision applied to military small arms in a package that outperforms rifles costing 3 times as much. The 7.5 by 5 millimeter Swiss cartridge launches a 174 grain bullet at 2,560 feet purse, with ballistics nearly identical to .308 Winchester, and Swiss military ammunition specifications required accuracy better than 3 inches at 300 meters from machine rest, and standards that many K-31s exceed by shooting sub-MOA groups with 60-year-old surplus ammunition. The straight pull bolt system allows rapid cycling without lifting the bolt handle away from the stock, maintaining cheek weld and sight picture between shots, which provides follow-up speed that approaches semi-automatic rifles while maintaining the inherent accuracy advantage of a manually operated action. Unlike most military surplus rifles that saw hard use and minimal maintenance, Swiss militia requirements mandated annual inspections and immediate repair of any deficiencies, meaning most K-31s show remarkable condition for rifles that are 70 to 80 years old. The walnut stock is hand-fitted to each barreled action, with tolerances measured in thousandth of an inch. And the two-piece stock design, with removable butt plate housing, a cleaning kit, demonstrates Swiss attention to practical detail that most military rifles ignore. Collector interest has driven K-31 prices from $200 in the 1990s to current levels of $600 to $1,200, depending on condition, representing 300 to 600% appreciation over 25 years, while most military surplus rifles stagnated or declined. Price: $600 to $1,200. Number 5. Springfield M1A. This civilian semi-automatic version of the M14 battle rifle represents the last U.S. military rifle chambered in full-power .30 caliber before the switch to 5.56 millimeters. And early Springfield Armory production examples from the 1970s and early 1980s now command collector premiums that make them worth double what current production M1As sell for today. When Springfield Armory, the civilian company, not the government arsenal, began M1A production in 1974, they used surplus U.S. GI parts, including receivers, barrels, and operating rods from military contracts, creating rifles that shared parts interchangeability with genuine M14s, which explains why early Springfield M1As maintained strong collector interest. The .308 Winchester chambering delivers 2,800 pound-pounds of muzzle energy from a 22-inch barrel, providing effective range past 800 yards with iron sights and the capability to ethically harvest any North American game animal, giving the M1A versatility that specialized tactical rifles cannot match. Early production M1As with 4-digit serial numbers and US GI parts kits trade at $2,200 to $3,500, depending on condition and configuration, while current production rifles sell for $1,500 to $1,800, demonstrating how first-generation examples appreciate while newer production follows standard depreciation curves. Match-grade variants like the M1A National Match or Super Match Command premiums of $500 to $1,000 over standard models, because they feature hand-selected components, a precision-bedded stocks, and accuracy guarantees that make them competitive in high-power rifle matches. Pre-banned configuration rifles, manufactured before the 1994 assault weapons ban, shipped with bayonet lugs, flash hiders, and grenade launcher sights. Features that were deleted from post-B production and make pre-ban examples more desirable to collectors seeking original military configuration. Think about this. The M14 served as the U.S. military's primary battle rifle for less than 10 years before the M16 replaced it. Yet the M1A remains popular 50 years later. Does that prove the military made a mistake switching to 5.56 millimeters? Price: $1,800 to $3,500. Number 4. HK91. The civilian semi-automatic version of the German military's G3 battle rifle represents Teutonic engineering excellence applied to military small arms. And these roller-delayed blowback rifles maintain value better than almost any other semi-automatic because they're simply not made anymore and never will be again. When Heckler & Co. imported HK91s to the United States between 1974 and 1989, they maintained the same manufacturing standards, tolerances, and quality control as German military G3 production, creating rifles that serious collectors recognize as genuinely superior to the Century Arms and PTR clones that dominate today's market. The roller-delayed blowback operating system requires no gas system, no piston, and no gas tube, which means no carbon fouling, no gas port erosion, and no cleaning the gas system. Just pure mechanical reliability that functions identically from the Arctic to the desert to the tropics. Original HK91 production featured polygonal rifling that extends barrel life past 50,000 rounds, while improving velocity by 50 to 75 feet purse, compared to traditional cut rifling. And the chrome-lined bore provides corrosion resistance that allows these rifles to survive storage conditions that would rust conventional barrels within months. Pre-ban HK91s, manufactured before the 1989 import ban, came with bayonet lugs, flash hiders, and paddle magazine releases, and features that were deleted from post-ban HK91s, and make pre-ban examples more desirable, typically commanding premiums of 30% to 50% over post-ban variants. Import-marked examples show roll marks indicating they were built at HK's Oberndorf facility in Germany, and those authentic German proofs command premiums over the Turkish-made clones that flooded the market after HK ceased civilian rifle imports. Price: $3,000 to $4,500. Number 3. Stir A. Austria's revolutionary bullpup design, introduced in 1977, brought futuristic ergonomics and modular capability to military rifles decades before other nations caught up. And the pre-ban AUGs imported before 1989 now command collector premiums that make them worth 3 to 4 times what similar condition post examples sell for today. The bullpup configuration places the action and magazine behind the trigger group, allowing a full-length 20-inch barrel in a package just 28-inch overall, which means you're getting rifle ballistics and velocity in a package shorter than most AR-15 carbines. Stir designed the AUG around a 1.5x optical sight integrated into the carrying handle, eliminating iron sights entirely and pioneering the concept of factory optics decades before red dots became standard on tactical rifles. And that integrated optic remains one of the fastest and most intuitive sighting systems ever fielded. Pre-ban AUG imports feature bayonet lugs and came with factory 30-round and 42-round magazines that are now restricted items in many states. And complete pre-ban packages with multiple magazines and original accessories trade at $6,000 to $8,000, representing appreciation of 500 to 700% since these rifles sold for $1,200 in the 1980s. The charging handle can be swapped to either side for left or right-handed shooters in under 30 seconds, making the AUG genuinely ambidextrous rather than just left-hand tolerable like most bullpups. And that switchable ejection explains why military forces in 30 countries adopted the AUG for general issue. The 1989 import ban ended Austrian AUG imports, and while Stier resumed limited production in the 2000s, those neutered post-B rifles lack the features that made pre-ban AUGs desirable, which explains why prices for original imports keep climbing. Price: $5,000 to $8,000. Number 2. Pre-ban Polytech AK-47. Chinese Polytech AKs imported before the 1989 ban represent the finest AK-47 variants ever to reach American shores, and their combination of superior manufacturing quality, original military configuration, and permanent import ban creates appreciation that outpaces almost every other semi-automatic rifle. When China's Polytech factory manufactured AKs for export in the 1980s, they built them to the same specifications as Chinese military-issue rifles, using forged and mill receivers, chrome-lined barrels, and quality control that exceeded Soviet production standards, creating rifles that collectors recognize as genuinely superior to anything currently available. The milled receiver variants command the highest premiums because they're machined from solid steel forgings rather than stamped sheet metal, adding 2 pounds of weight but providing rigidity and durability that stamped receivers cannot match. And pristine examples now trade at $3,500 to $5,500. Polytech Legend Series rifles came with premium wood furniture, better fit and finish, and accessories including bayonets, cleaning kits, and pouches. And complete Legend packages now sell for $4,000 to $6,000, representing appreciation of 400 to 500% since these rifles sold for $800 to $1,200 in the late 1980s. Underfolder stock variants trade at premiums of $500 to $1,000 over fixed stock examples because their compact dimensions and distinctive appearance make them highly collectible, despite offering no practical advantages and actually reducing shooter comfort. The 1989 ban on Chinese firearms imports created permanent scarcity that drives Polytech values higher every year. And as surviving rifles get damaged, destroyed, or permanently modified, the remaining original configuration examples become progressively rarer and more valuable. Think about it. A Chinese-made AK that cost $800 in 1988 now sells for $4,000 to $5,000. Does that prove import bans create investment opportunities? Or does artificial scarcity just punish new collectors who weren't buying 35 years ago? Let us know what you think. Price: $3,500 to $6,000. Number 1. Early Armalite AR-10, the rifle that started it all. Armalite's original AR-10 design from the 1950s represents the foundation that eventually became the M16 and every AR-15 ever built. And surviving Dutch contract AR-10s from artillery in Ringen now sell for $15,000 to $35,000, making them among the most valuable semi-automatic rifles in existence. When Armalite developed the AR-10 in 1955, they created something revolutionary: an aluminum receiver battle rifle weighing just 7 pounds that fired the full-power 7.62 by 62 by 51 millimeter NATO cartridge, undercutting steel receiver competitors by 3 to 4 pounds while maintaining equivalent durability. The Dutch government ordered AR-10s for their military in 1957, but production problems at Dutch factories limited total production to fewer than 10,000 rifles. And civil conflicts in Sudan and Portugal consumed most of those guns, leaving perhaps 1 to 1,500 surviving examples worldwide. Portuguese contract AR-10s from artillery in Ringen feature distinctive waffle-pattern magazines machined from aluminum, brown furniture, sewer, and unique roll marks that make them instantly identifiable to collectors. And pristine examples with matching numbers now trade at $20,000 to $35,000 at specialized auctions. The early AR-10 pioneered the direct gas impingement system, composite furniture, and modular design philosophy that defined every AR pattern rifle that followed, making these guns historically significant beyond their mere scarcity, and explaining why museums and serious collectors compete for pristine examples. Finding an early AR-10 with original accessories, including magazines, cleaning kit, sling, and manual, can add $2,000 to $5,000 to the base rifle value. And complete rigs with multiple magazines and documentation command premium prices at auction. Price: $15,000 to $35,000. Those are your 10 rifles you should never sell because their value keeps climbing year after year, and most owners have no clue what they're actually holding until it's too late. If this information saved you from making an expensive mistake, smash that like button and subscribe to Gun and Gavel now. Drop a comment telling us which one you'd never let go, no matter what price someone offered.